Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of a glitch. We thought we were live. We were having a great conversation. Opeyemi were really educating us, and then we understood we're not live. So, welcome everybody to our live. Again, sorry we're a couple of minutes late. I have two amazing guests with me today. Let's start with the face that you don't see too often here, Josh Loveridge, my partner and my technology god, basically. Josh, so happy that we're doing business together.
Yeah, it's
And
great to hear.
uh, Josh, thank you, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get to our guest of the hour, Opeyemi.
The way I like to describe myself is I'm a big nerd. Seasoned technologist, worked and have been working with major Fortune 100 technology companies over the last 10 years, helping their scale up both their interactive entertainment departments and software scaling systems. The way I like to describe what I do to people is very simple. I love thorny technical problems. If there's a technological, firestorm, I love to be in the middle of it, and I'll get the hose and I'll put it out. It's pretty much me in a nutshell. Just love technology.
Absolutely, I consider you my geek, and I'm so happy to consider that, and love working with you, Opeyemi. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. You have a great treat today. You have somebody that can really share with us how AI is really changing healthcare. Opeyemi, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're so excited to have you here. You have such a unique voice to share with us what AI is doing in healthcare. Opeyemi, share with us a little bit who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Zeev. Like Josh, I am a marketer. So I'm on the other side of the coin. I'm a marketer who absolutely loves helping people. I love helping people live healthier lives. I love helping to connect people and change their behavior, which is where AI comes in, and it's such a powerful tool as a marketer. I currently work at Teladoc Health. I lead consumer marketing and our brand. And our focus really is connecting our members. We have more than 93 million members on the Teladoc Health platform to the care that they need. So making it a lot more accessible to them wherever they are in the world.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about telehealth and how you guys use AI. So I know that you use a lot of AI. I know you brought in AI to really increase the what the patients get out of it. But you deal with health, which needs to be so accurate and so precise. So can you share with us a little bit how have you brought AI and what impacts it's done in your in what you do?
Absolutely. So AI is something that in more recent years has become a little bit of a buzzword. It is something from a marketing standpoint that has been around for so many years. And it is the bedrock of how we do marketing at Teladoc Health. So as consumers, AI is in every interaction, many of the interactions that we have. Accenture did a study that showed that 91% of consumers are more likely to go back to brands that have some level of personalization. AI is the engine behind that personalization in many experiences. Also, if you look at experiences that we're all very familiar with, you think about Netflix, the recommendations you get on there, or social media, the recommendations that you also get on social media in terms of personalized content. AI is powering all of that. So if we transition that into the health space, every single one of us has very unique and individual health needs, which again requires very personalized communications, next best actions, recommendations. That's where AI comes into play and really helps us with what to say to members, how to say it to them, really how to break through to our consumers so that we're closing what we like to call the intention to behavior gap. So Teladoc Health has adopted AI. We have on my team, we use more than 30 AI models that are the engine to how we interact with our members throughout the customer life cycle. In addition to those models, we're also beginning to introduce new large language models to get to very customized recommendations in terms of what we are saying to our members.
So let's take a question here. So Elise is asking, how do you use AI to shift habits in healthcare that already exist? So Josh, I'll have you answer that first because I think you're very much equipped to do it. And then Opeyemi, I would love to hear you. So Josh, how do we use AI to shift habits in healthcare and otherwise? But let's focus on healthcare right now.
So fundamentally, people are interesting creatures. They're creatures of habit. Always, people like to do what they're used to doing. They don't like change because it's scary, and that's okay. So AI is like, I like to, and when we say AI, it is a general term. If we're talking about, really specifically with this topic, personalized assistance that can really contextualize information that's being given, you can start to transition those habits. The more you can make someone feel comfortable, the more you can make it feel personalized, unique to them, and also humanized, because people by people always have, always will. So the more you can kind of, the example I like to give is, if you get a form in from your doctor, just a blank form with a bunch of writing on it with all these big words. You do not understand any of it, and you're sitting there scared. You don't know what to do. Whereas if someone sits down and explains that to you, it suddenly becomes not so scary. So we can take learnings from traditionally how, and doctors have delivered these types of things, and bring that and use AI to deliver those through like voice generation, contextual chat generation through LLMs and all this sorts of stuff. So there's multiple ways that it can be utilized, but it really comes back to the people, making people feeling more kind of heard, listened to, and understood. And the second you do that, then the barriers start to come down, and then you start to drive stronger retention results and success with utilizing different forms of AI within healthcare.
Love it. Opeyemi, anything to add?
I love the example you just gave, Josh. And I am going to just double click on what you just mentioned. We recently did a study. And the premise of the study was we believed that by leveraging AI, by leveraging large generative AI, as well as machine learning models, we could get to a place where our diabetic members who are high acuity diabetic members, that means their diabetes was not under control, we could close because a lot of people have the intention to be healthier. But it is hard. Many of us come up with New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year. I, for one, am one person who by February, it goes by the wayside and I'm not following it through. So with that in mind, if you think of somebody who's living with a chronic condition, they have every intention to do what their doctor has told them or prescribed them to do, but it's hard. So our question was, how do we take AI to double down on these behaviors that we know that people can perform to get healthier? So there are three key things that we focused on. First thing we looked at was what we call gamification. But if you think about activity trackers, so we all have our Apple Watch. Many of us have our Apple Watches. And there's the thing that stand up, it's time for you to get up and take a few steps, etc., or just even closing the loop on the circle, taking the key elements. I know that if a member takes more steps, if they do their blood glucose readings, if they log their food, taking elements like that, and looking at lookalike people. Like, I know that if Josh does this, this is where he is. This is how much more he needs to do. Closing the loop on that, on circles from an activity tracker standpoint, motivates people. So introducing that into our communications. The second thing was taking Microsoft's OpenAI platform, which was, again, a secure closed environment, and creating hundreds and hundreds of customized and personalized copy blocks that triggered next best actions. What we saw with that was, it's time for you to take more steps, Zeev. It's time for you to, see a coach, Josh. we saw 86% lift in the number of steps taking, 113% lift in the number of people who actually went to schedule the next coaching visit. And what's really exciting about all of this is net, we saw a 13% improvement in people's A1C, which is a key metric for measuring how well you're doing with diabetes. So again, closing that gap of I have this intention, and we know people aren't going to do everything at once, but being able to take the data, we have billions of data points in terms of what behaviors you've taken or not taken, what actions, and being able to pull that into our models to drive recommendations did so well in terms of improving our patients' health outcomes.
You're preaching to the choir. My father has type 2 diabetes. My grandma passed from type 1 diabetes. It's something that it's been in my family, and I've seen how it tears families, tears people. So the fact that you basically now prolong the life of a bunch of people, okay, like the outcome here is you gave more life to people. Now, to kind of answer the question as well, gamification and competition are two things that drive human beings. Okay, any human being. I don't care if you tell me you're not competitive, you are. Just like you were saying with the rings, I never wanted an iWatch, and I got one as a present from my wife. And I'm so competitive that I have to close the loops. Like I just have to, you know. It's just, if not, I'm like, oh, I missed it. Some days when I first got it, like right before midnight, I would just do a couple more push-ups to close the loops for today.
Yeah.
Crazy. So the same way, you got to make it fun for people, competitive for people. And we've seen, Josh and I, in so many occasions, when you make it a competition, suddenly people come out of their shell. Suddenly they want to show what they can do. So human nature goes across everything: marketing, health, technology. And we got to talk to the human element, if that makes sense. So loved your answer. Let's take another question here. What are the key challenges in integrating AI into patient care, and how Teladoc Health addresses them? Would you want to take that one on, Opeyemi?
Yeah, I'll take that one on. I would say there are a couple of things. Using AI comes with responsibility. I am in the healthcare space, and we have very strict regulatory rules, patient privacy rules, et cetera. So any new technology you're about to adopt needs to pass through the same level of scrutiny as any other capabilities that you're using, including AI. So that's one thing. So ensuring that the right privacy as well as the right security rails are in place at all of our instances of where we use AI. So we use Databricks. We also use, I mentioned Microsoft's generative AI platform. We have walled off closed environments. So in the case of OpenAI, a walled off environment, you have to train it. It does not come trained like an open source version. So there's a lot of work and investment that goes in, but it's still a very powerful tool that creates efficiency for us. The other thing is there needs to be human accountability with anything related to AI. AI is not something we will, to this point, our legal team has said, AI will never interface directly with the consumer. There needs to be human intervention. AI hallucinates. You need to make sure that you are not hallucinating and giving people the wrong information. It's such an important space. But I couldn't be more excited with the power and the tools and just the amount of data it can churn through for us. But again, having the right rails in place is so very important.
It is. And, you and I talked about this before, and when we kind of had our little glitch, but you shared with me a study by McKinsey that is just mind-boggling. And I'd love Josh to interject on it as well, but share with us everything you shared with me earlier, because that blew my mind.
Absolutely. You want me to share or Josh to share?
Oh, please, you. I would like Josh to say something about it, but please share what you shared with us earlier.
Absolutely. So McKinsey did a study that showed that versus traditional analytics tools, the use of AI and some of the advancements that we're seeing in AI will unlock in the marketing and sales space more than, I forget how many trillion, more than 2.6 trillion in incremental opportunity. So that is huge. So the opportunity is endless. I couldn't be more excited at this point in time to be a marketer, given just some of the technology advancements that we're seeing.
This is really funny because I had a meeting yesterday with a marketer, and I was all excited, and she told me, hey, we're not doing much, and we're waiting for 2025. And it blew my mind. I was like, waiting for what? Like,
Yeah.
everything is here. Like, this is the time to do what exactly are you waiting for? So I love to hear how excited you are about all these innovations. Now, Josh, can you tell us, you deal with a lot of big businesses, you deal with a lot of big deals, $2.6 trillion in new opportunities only in sales and marketing. We're not even
Yep.
talking about other things. 2.6 trillion. To the ones of you that don't, trillion is 1,000 billion. Okay, so we have 2.6 thousand billion dollars that are going to get basically released in this process. What do you think about that, Josh?
It's always a very interesting one. Business is a game, and process is a game of adaptation. Always has been, always will be. It's evolutionary, and people are the same, and businesses are the same as well. Those who choose to adapt and adopt these new technologies, such as AI, will win in the long run. They always have and always do. And that 2.6 trillion that's coming into the market, that's coming through an increase in productivity. And here's what the big thing when ChatGPT first came out from OpenAI, everyone was scared. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, we're going to lose our jobs." No, here's what it does: it enables you to do your job faster, quicker, and more efficiently. A great example I like to give is, when carpenters didn't have drills, they needed to do it by hand. Now they've drills, it just enabled them to hang more doors quicker and, to move faster. So, when you're in an era of rapid transformational change, from a technological perspective, it is just going to enable people to work smarter, faster, and harder, which is great because it's going to drive this innovation. And the ones who are going to get some of this 2.6 trillion that's going to enter the market are really those ones who are going to start to understand their customers. That's a big thing that's very important. And this is what analytics tools provide, and where this telemetry and the analysis of this telemetry can come in is, by understanding your customer, you can understand where they want to be and where they want to go. And once you understand that, then you can start to really provide those customized experience. And then, honestly, for a long time, marketing was a game of, okay, let's make our best guesses. Then we started to get telemetry tools like, Google Analytics and stuff, and we could start to make more educated guesses. But now, there's no more guessing. Now it's time to really understand what that data is, propagate it through some machine learning side of things, a TensorFlow or whatever it may be, and then you will get the answer that you need. So then you can actually deliver results faster, quicker, better. So it's just great. I think it is.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
We set up a lot of what we do in a test and learn environment where you can tell with statistical significance whether or not you can replicate some of the actions that you're taking, to the point that Josh is making. So a lot of what I spoke about there, it's like to a 99.9% confidence interval. That is exciting. I often say to my data science friends, I'm like, we're not operating on people. If it's like 80%, I'm happy. But then seeing results that are in the 99% confidence interval is exciting. And AI helps us get to a place where we can actually sieve through all the points of data to get to a place where we can help more people.
This gets me to the next question. Can you share any specific AI-driven solution that you've done at Teladoc Health that really kind of helped deliver better results?
Sure. The systems that my data science partners use, Databricks is the foundation for many of the machine learning models that they develop, and I cannot exist, I often say this, without my data science partners. They're the ones who help us with improving return on ad spends, driving clinical outcomes, recommending next best actions, and just being more precise within our consumers' journeys to be able to help get people to where they need to be, wherever they are in their health journey.
That's amazing. Josh, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just double down on that. I a quote I got told a long time ago by a very influential individual was that, men lie, women lie, children lie, but data never lies. And it's true. It always comes back to that. It really doesn't lie. And it's once you're there and you're open to reading it and parsing through that data, and you get the answer you need every time.
Yeah.
Josh, I think you shared this with me, but I don't even know what we used to do before AI. My daily routines are so AI driven, and almost everything I do has an AI component to it. Yesterday, okay, a big RFP that I wasn't aware of, I guess, was out for a few days, and the CEO of the company reached out to us directly to answer this RFP. The deadline for this RFP is tomorrow. If it was like before the age of AI, I would tell him, hey, I really appreciate it, but there is no way we can do it.
Mhm.
There is just zero way we can do it. Now, is the AI going to do everything? No, we're going to have like 48 hours of crazy work, but it's now doable because of AI. And the data part, we've always had a lot of data, but very few people, very few companies knew how to process that big data that we had, the keyword for so many years. Now it's all in our fingertips. And
Yeah.
something you said, Opeyemi, that I really loved. Yes, open systems or open AIs are already trained, but we truly believe in closing a knowledge base so you train it the way you want it, and then it stops the hallucinations, which hallucinations are just part of the intelligence trying to figure it out. But we need, in something like health, you must kind of close it together. Now, that leads me to the next question, and that's for you, Opeyemi. What are the challenges of bringing in AI into Teladoc Health? What have you faced that has really challenged you?
I would say the biggest challenge is it has to be walled off and closed, and we have to train some of the systems. So when you think of things like machine learning, we're advanced, we are running and gunning, and we're extremely efficient. But as you start to look at more of the large language models, et cetera, there's work that has to be done. And the one word of caution I would tell folks here is don't put anything that you don't want out in the ethos within any OpenAI system, because it becomes public information. So that is something that really creating the right policies to wall off what we do and how we do it has been, I wouldn't say a challenge, but you're starting from scratch. You are training the models and looking for the tools. Some exciting areas that we haven't really touched on as much is our creative team is using AI for video production, and it is cutting down. Our creative director was showing me, he's like, yeah, in the past, I had to do all of this and create it in the background. This took me 5 seconds. So when you think of the efficiency of being able to do that in video production, image creation, you're thinking of a new headline and you go in and you tease it and it gives you something like brainstorming with AI. There are other more rudimentary examples that don't require billions of data points, where as marketers who are looking to dip their toe into the AI space, I encourage, again, ensuring it's secure, but understanding what's out there for you. We're looking at what tools we can use from a copywriting standpoint to buddy up with our copywriters to make them even more efficient. So lots of innovation, efficiency that's on the horizon based on some of these new emerging tools.
That's awesome. So we just said yesterday in a demo, and we have this tool that basically is 4 AI agents that work together to produce something. So we have a research tool that we train to research like we research. And then we have a writer tool that takes the research and makes it into different things. So like different social media platform post, article, a white paper, whatever, just breaks that research into that. Then we have a system that creates the best images. And then we have a system that makes it into a video with the voice of the leader. And we thought about this would take us a week and $10,000. Okay. So now we cut it to 10 minutes. I wouldn't say 5 seconds, but 10 minutes, because we still truly believe that a leader needs to be involved and somebody needs to look at it. But now we changed that $10,000 in a week cost into literally 15 minutes and whatever time of the person that did that on the AI. The knowledge base knows the brand, the colors, the images, what can use, can't be used, what works, doesn't work. So it's so incredible how much time we're saving. And that's to my point of, how do we even live before this? You know, I'm having a hard time thinking about that. So Josh, how is AI shortened things in your life? How do you use AI in your day-to-day life? I know you deal with technology all day long. How does AI change how you deal with the world?
You know, that's a funny one. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, in that it's turbocharged a lot of processes on that side. The very obvious things that it's done for everyone. But for us, and for me specifically, especially being on the backside technology front, I'm looking at it from a more holistic perspective as a big tech problem. You know, one of the biggest carbon emissions right now is actually training AIs, training large language models. So we have a new problem. It's like, okay, it's an efficiency perspective. So my mind starts to go to, okay, how can I run these things locally? How can I make these more efficient? Great example. When ChatGPT first came out, I was like, you know what? I was like, I want to run an experiment. So I've been training a language model on all my personal data that I've been running locally for the last, I don't know, year, or however long it's been. Now it can answer my own emails. It can do whatever I want, and it talks like me, responds like me, all that sort of thing. And I've been training that on my own data, because I was like, well, you need a boatload of data. I have like a record of like millions of emails that I've responded to, good, bad, and different, over the years. And what I've been able to do is I've been able to go back and say, respond like me in 2017, and it does that, which is hilarious. And it's all trained on my own data. It's run in a closed loop on my own local device, utilizing a couple. We're actually using was part of Unity's technology Centus, really cool piece of tech, enabling it to run language models locally on your device without them being on the cloud anywhere. You train the model locally, and then you can run it locally, so there is no external requests going out anywhere, so it's very secure. But yeah, so on that side, it's a big technology problem, which is great. I love it. I think it's awesome. It's all about how can we run these things faster, more efficiently, and optimize for, so we can do it, keep getting better and better and better. Because the one piece that's, kind of still a little bit, I suppose, difficult is training a model. It's not as easy as many people think. It's actually quite confusing on how, and then the matter is, what's good and bad data? That's what not a lot of people know, because if you feed something bad data, well, then you're going to get bad results. So there is still this, we're not at the point yet where we can let AI prune its own data, retrain itself, and start to go on the AGI route. We're a long way from that. It really is right now. But essentially, all we've done is we've kind of collated a big knowledge database, and we're just getting it to spit it back out. That's really what we're doing, which is really powerful what you can do with that, but there still is a lot of technical problems to solve. So for me, it's one big tech problem, but also it's transformed everything I'm doing. Like, from a programming point of view, we use, AI assistants, like GitHub Copilot quite substantially. It cleans up your class. It does a lot of heavy work. Like previously, if you have a class that's 10,000 lines of code and you had to go through and manually format it, add comments, it's frustrating. And it's the last thing you want to be spending a 300K engineer to be doing, writing comments and cleaning up code and formatting docs. You don't want them to do that. So now language models can do it. Closed loop system, run it. Format display is great, looks beautiful, love it. There we go. Quick check to make sure it's all right. Grand, off to the races. So it just speeds it up. But yeah, that's what I would say to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Opeyemi, a question for you. When you're trying to get your clientele, the people that need your services, to adapt to AI, what is the ways that you find that work really well, and where do you find challenges?
Yeah, so AI, for the purposes of what I do, is in the background. It is an efficiency tool for marketers, for data scientists, et cetera. So it is not visible to our clients or our members. So there's really, and I equate that to many of the experiences that I mentioned at the very beginning, whereby many of the marketing experiences or product experiences, the best of them, are using AI in the background to generate the best and most personalized experiences. So I see it more as table stakes in terms of what I do versus something that needs this big unveiling. Like, if you don't have a personalized recommendation, you won't make money. You will bring in less people through the door. The more personalized you become, be it I talk to you in the right channels, I say the right thing, I recommend the right, we see much, much better performance. So, and you're happier because I know who you are and I'm able to present you with stuff that matters the most to you.
Now, let's switch that into your team. You lead a large team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them to adopt AI, and how do you lead by example to show them that this is the way to go?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. Everyone sees how just very excited I am about AI. And so I think it's infectious and it creates curiosity. There are a few things that we've done. We have worked very closely with our legal as well as data security teams to ensure that we're bringing in the right tools that don't expose us, because people can go off and put the company at risk, and that's something that we want to prevent. So having the right policies, having the right tools that are centrally managed has been a very important part of what we do. I think the other thing is encouraging curiosity. So there are very low risk things that you can do. Somebody shared copy with me recently. And I'm like, oh, I don't know that I love this. Did you plop it into AI to see what it generated? And we did that right there with us on the phone. And next thing we know, she's like, oh my God, I'm going to use this going forward. But a core part of what we do, I mentioned earlier that data science, I have about, I think, 22 data scientists that support almost every action that's taken through the member life cycle with my team. It is a core part of what we do in our day in, day out of our roles. And we've done this for years. So linking and labeling for people that, oh, by the way, the thing you've been doing for the past 2 years, that's AI. People are like, oh, I didn't realize that. The final thing I would say is encouraging curiosity. So the creative and brand teams also report into me. And there was a lot of fear with our writers last year. Oh my God, this is going to replace us. I won't have a job anymore, etc. But we're now at a point where it's like, it can actually improve your efficiency, and making it a strategic project for the leaders in that organization to help us think through what are the right tools. That is actually creating a lot of excitement where people want to be on the forefront. They want to know, they want to be a part of it to bring the right tools into the organization.
I love that. So let me share. There's a question here that is not exactly about healthcare, but what tools are you using for video production? So what tools do you use for video production?
I don't have the name. I'll turn it over to you and Josh in case you guys have stuff that's off the top of your head.
So we use our own custom system to create videos. But if somebody wants to know a cool system, kind of an open system out there, Runway ML does a really, really good job. They don't have an API, but they do a really good job. So if anybody wants to play with that, but if anybody has any interest, we have our own tool that creates video that is super cool. This is something that I've always thought about AI, and I would love both of you guys to kind of interject on that. AI is a great entry level tool, meaning it's a great tool to do all the scut work in the beginning. So we have a tool, an AI sales agent. Okay, the AI sales agent does not replace salespeople at all. It just makes salespeople do more of the things they want to do and less of the things they hate to do. Okay, so nobody likes to do cold calls. I know a lot of people tell me they do, but nobody likes to do cold calls. Okay, and after you get the phone hung up on you 10 times, no matter how strong mentally you are, and I'm super strong mentally, it does affect you. Being a salesperson is almost like having like thrown arrows at you all day. So now we take the AI, and now the AI takes that part, and we do it exactly like Josh says. We have a database, so the AI can see everything I've ever written, how I answer emails, my voice, how I speak. They have hours of them recording, my tonality. So now the AI can take all the part that is annoying and take it from me. And now let's say I can prospect 500 people a day. Anytime somebody responds, now I'm ready, and now I have a lot more to do. And I think it's not just with sales, it's with everything. So a writer today needs to do research before they write. Why not take that part away? And now you have 7 versions. And let's say a writer, a good writer, Opeyemi, have written thousands of articles, right? Feed that into the knowledge base and let the AI understand what your tone, how you speak, what you do, and help you duplicate that. So AI works only when you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, AI is just going to be a waste of time. It's going to give you what Daniel, our head of partnership, calls beautiful crap. Okay. So that's kind of what I feel. People need to understand that it's not going to replace you. It's not going to take anything, but you need to take your time. Many people, for instance, we did a study of who's the best AI user. Opeyemi, you're probably the profile for the best user of AI. It's usually a woman in leadership with 15 years of experience. Okay, why? Because you've been through everything. You know how to sift through it. You've seen good, you've seen bad. Now you can really work with the AI. So we don't even let entry-level people work with AI unless it's really simple stuff. In code, Josh, I would love for you to share. Brilliant coder can use AI and become so much better. A junior coder can become AI and ruin a lot of things. So that's kind of how I see it. And I'll give you my last thing, and then I would love to hear from you, Opeyemi. I look at AI as gunpowder. We're all armies, and gunpowder just came out. So we can figure out how to use it, and it's dangerous. You can lose some fingers in the process, but if you can shoot somebody from 200 feet, it's much better than a sword, no matter how you look at it. So we need to adapt and figure out how we use it. So what do you feel about AI, and how should people use it in their careers or to grow?
Yeah, two things. I love your analogy of the gunpowder, and you can shoot, or I forget how you framed it, but as a marketer, it is extremely important to test what you're doing. Come up with hypotheses. And I think the reason why the profile of a good AI user is probably me is I have a ton of hypotheses, and I want to know if it's true or not. So you can actually come up with hypotheses and test to see what the outcomes are, to see the power of. So us using generative AI, the hypothesis was being able to create all these customized blocks of copy at scale with human intervention will actually be more impactful than having generic copy. And guess what? It worked, and it's statistically significant. So you roll that out and you move on to the next to the next hypothesis. I'll pause there. Any other questions or thoughts?
I got a bunch, but I want to dive into kind of your personal experience.
Yeah.
You're a leader. You've led a lot of people. You've worked with some impressive companies. You've led them through very challenging times. Can you share with our audience that want to grow their careers, what is the best advice you have for people going into either marketing or healthcare? But going in, what do they need to do in order to grow?
Yeah. There are there are three things that I look at personally. As you're looking at your career, regardless of where you're going, know yourself is the most important thing. Know what motivates you. I love to learn, and I love to be at the forefront and feel like I am having the biggest impact. I love mission-driven organizations. I love making a difference and helping people's lives. And I haven't always known this about myself. So if you're getting started in your career or wherever you are, it is always important to pause and really think about. One of my biggest mentors said to me, she said, every now and then pause and think, if money were not an object, what would you be doing with your time? And she said this to me 8 or 9 years ago. She said it to me again recently. And I love that question. And it's hard to answer. It is very, very hard to answer. So if you are a gazillionaire and you chose to do stuff, what would you do? Have that be your litmus test, like your guide you in terms of what you do. Don't be afraid to fail. You will do things or try things and you're like, oh, this is not for me, thank you, and move to the next thing. Or you fail and you learn and you'll take that, and that becomes a part of you and a part of how you present yourself in the future. So those are just some of the key things. Like, don't be afraid to fail or to try new things, and know what truly tickles you, right? And what really makes you happy. And the only way you know that is by trying a ton of stuff.
I love it. I actually posted today a video on LinkedIn. Everybody, please go and check it out. Just about that. Failure is a part of success. Nobody ever succeeded without failing. And sometimes it looks from afar like, oh my God, Opeyemi, she's like a overnight success. She's like, how did she get to where she is? By failing a lot. By falling on your face and learning how to not fall the next time. The same way we learn how to walk or go on a bicycle. So I love that, and it's brilliant. Failure is a huge, huge part of success. Now, Josh, I'm going to move to you something completely different. We talked about gamification. We talked about human nature. Can you tell us a little bit about how immersive experiences are changing right now, how consumer brands or even B2B brands talk to their consumers, and how AI interjects with that?
Yeah. So as someone who's been in the interactive entertainment space for a very long time, I understand gamification very well. I understand what makes people tick, what retains users, and how the psychology works behind the scenes. Over the last 5 years, corporate America has started to realize, oh, we're missing something here. We're not gamifying our users. It's no longer good enough to actually just have a boring form on a website because nobody will fill it out. People are bored. They're sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. It's decision fatigue, so they want something different. So the new frontier of a lot of, in marketers' minds today is, okay, how can we gamify and how can we make fun our boring processes that we're currently doing? And how can we turn our users into brand champions that are really going to, be custodians of the brand and push it forward? And the easiest way to do that is to make them want to share it with their friends, to make them want to make that extra click. And the easiest way to do that is to gamify it, make it fun. People are competitive by nature. They just are. Even if someone tells you I'm not competitive, they are. Everyone loves it. So when you say to someone and you throw a leader and and every business owner, every person's done this, you've participated in some sort of raffle in your life, you've seen a leaderboard and you've looked at the number one spot at the top and said, I want to be there. That is the underlying pinning of gamification. So it's about taking those processes, building these immersive experiences around it that really immerse the user, get them through those processes that they haven't typically, wanted to do before, been dropping out, and optimizing for that higher retention on a D1, D7, and D30 retention metric. So you do that through essentially gamifying things, making games, making things fun. If you've got a boring form on your website to fill out, like a great example is we built an SEO audit form. Everyone's probably filled one of those out once in their life, and it's really boring. You sit there and you watch a bar load. But we were like, well, let's gamify it. Let's make it fun. Make it like a little dual jump game where you're jumping from platform to platform. The longer you sit on that, the better SEO report you get, for free, which is great. And what we found by doing that is retention shot up 6x straight off the bat by doing that. Very simple, very basic, but it's fun and people want to share it. And when you do that, you start to drive results. So we're in this age where we're starting to transition into the age of gamification. And it's very interesting as people from the entertainment business are starting to come over into, Fortune 500 companies and show the way essentially and being like, okay, this is how we actually do this thing. So we're in an interesting transitionary period.
It's so funny because, Opeyemi, I remember a world when we had one channel to watch, like one channel to watch.
Okay? And it was black and white. I'm not sure. I'm aging myself.
But now we have 17 screens around us, everything pinging at us. Like there's such difficulty with attention. And what Josh said is brilliant. Just let them do what they want. Let them do what they want inside your habitat, your ecosystem, but let them do what they want. Let them have fun. Opeyemi, we were a little late starting, so we're a little late ending, and this is so much fun. I can barely believe it's almost an hour of talking. But healthcare is different than most things we deal with. So I want you to kind of have a summary a little bit for us of how you are utilizing AI to grow. And if you're comfortable with it, do you have any insight on how AI is going to affect the visualizing side of medicine? You don't have to answer it, but this is something I'm personally really interested
in. I'll answer the first part of the question. We have only scratched the surface in terms of what AI can do to unlock growth. I have spoken mostly on the patient behavior side. There's so many more use cases. There is physician note-taking and summary, and there's just so many use cases that are still currently being tested and currently in development. The sky is the limit in terms of what AI is going to do in the health industry so that providers and caregivers and people like me who sit on the marketing side can spend more time helping people be healthier. There's just so much that's going to be unlocked with AI in terms of efficiency and insight. And I saw a question around patient monitoring. Think of how much data sits in Epic and other systems that are not currently being used as efficiently. AI can powerfully sieve through all of that information to make individualized recommendations that will ultimately yield better health outcomes for the US population and for the global population from a healthcare standpoint.
Awesome. So this is the question you're talking about. Talia is asking, when I was reading the digital distributor newsletter, it said something about remote monitoring and how remote patient monitoring has taken giant leaps forward in AI. Do you believe that remote monitoring will be a big factor in AI in health? I personally do, but
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely. And my example of diabetes, remote monitoring. Those
Let's move into this. How do you see it evolving over the next decade? How do you see AI evolving in what you do over the next decade?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. I think that we are going to move over the past few years. We've talked a lot about personalization. I think we're going to move more into individualization, where there will be individualized recommendations and momentum that will help drive even better results for each and every one of us. But I'd love to hear from Josh, because he's more of the technical expert on this.
This is a very interesting one. And you're definitely going in the right path. We are going to see the individualization of experiences. I think the real interesting piece about where this is going to go is we are going to start seeing that path diverge into a very different kind of user journey between applications, where my user journey could be completely different to yours.
Exactly.
Now, that is where things get very interesting, because then what companies are going to have to adapt for, and they aren't adapted for right now, is how do you deal with that when everyone is seeing a different thing, but you need to make sure that the information is the same. So it's a very interesting paradox that we're driving down, in that companies for so many years have stuck to, okay, the way we do this, the way we make sure quality control is everyone has the same experience. But now we're blowing that through the water and saying, hey, everyone's going to be different, because it needs to be personalized, it needs to be unique, and it needs to be tailored to the individual. So that's where we're going to start to see a lot of new, and probably a lot of new positions coming in as well, is, okay, how do we adapt to that change and kind of roll with it and, move forward on that side.
I love that. And Opeyemi, the last question we have, and then before we finish, I would love for you to tell everybody how to reach out to you if they want to reach out to you. But the last question is, what advice do you have for aspiring leaders in healthcare technology and marketing? What advice do you have to give them on how to move their career forward?
Sure. I would say number one is be curious. Don't be afraid to try new things. I am a 15-year financial services person who leaped from financial services into healthcare. And I really followed, I mentioned pausing to think about, if money were not the object. I decided at one point, working at American Express, I just want to help people. And what better place to help people than in healthcare? So whatever industry you're in or whatever phase you are in your career, don't be afraid to step in, try things, be curious, and you'll learn over time what truly tickles you and what excites you and what inspires you. For me, I am most inspired and excited when I truly believe in the purpose and I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. So that's my advice.
Awesome. Josh, would you like to give advice to everybody watching us in technology, marketing, healthcare?
I always say this, and it's very cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. People have an industry that they want to bull down. They have a dream they want to pursue. Chase it. Chase it. Don't take no for an answer. Fail forward. Keep getting up. And one thing I'll say is, when I first started everything I was doing, I was specifically told it was not possible. They were like, "Listen, you're a young Irish dude. Nobody's going to listen to you. Don't be. It's like, listen, just get a job, go work for Intel, you'll be fine." It's like, no. It's like, be bold, be brave, and push forward. And your dreams are only there for the taking. They really are. And it's not even about forming a company. If your dream job's to do whatever, go do it. Imposter syndrome is a big thing. Everyone, even at the highest level, has imposter syndrome every day. They're like, really, am I the guy to do this? Yeah. And if you're asking yourself that question, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Guys, you have been the best guest. Opeyemi, thank you. Josh, thank you. Opeyemi, how can people reach out to you if they have any questions or they want to reach out to you? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, the best way is to reach me on LinkedIn. I am there often. So if you send me a message, I will respond.
Awesome. So everybody that wants to do follow-up questions, Opeyemi will be on LinkedIn. Josh, how do we reach out to you?
Pigeon Carrier, LinkedIn, whatever way you can find me. I'll respond.
I've tried Pigeon. It didn't work that well.
Yeah.
So everybody, don't try that. He just says that. Guys, thank you so much. I'm so blessed to be with such brilliant people like you guys that come in and share this wisdom with the audience. I hope everybody's going to enjoy their day. And Josh and Opeyemi, thank you so, so much.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank